Okay, welcome everybody. This is an information session. It's a series of several videos that we kind of broke up into smaller pieces. The idea is that you're going to go through all of the videos. It's going to give you an overview of the program. It'll answer 99% of your questions. We've been doing this for a little while, so we know what most veterans are curious about. So we put together the session so that it could save you time. You don't have to get on a phone call with us for an hour or an hour and a half trying to answer your questions. You can kind of spread that out, watch these videos, watch them all at once, watch them over a little span of the time, and get the information you need to make the decision. One of the reasons we do this, you will find if you do time with us, we don't have salespeople. It's fundamentally something that I just refuse to do. I'm the owner of the company, as you can see here, so you can see who's talking to you. I'm Terry Jenkins, the founder. I don't hire salespeople because this is not the kind of thing that needs to be sold. You guys are going through a transition. You're working on a very critical part of your life. A lot of you are probably going through some financial difficulties. You probably have a lot of shell shock coming out of the military, thinking that one thing was going to happen when you got out and finding out another thing's happening. You're probably second guessing yourself. You're going through a lot of different things, which makes you very vulnerable. And it's basically unfair to you to sell to you. You come out here, you know nothing about the markets. It doesn't matter what market you're going into. Somebody like me that's been in the markets very well could probably put a pretty good spin together and convince you very easily. And I know this is a fact because I work with veterans every single day that have spent the majority of their GI Bill on a college degree that hasn't got them anything, or they did another IT program where they did the training, they did all this stuff, they didn't get through it, and now they've wasted that money, they wasted that time, and they're unemployed and they're hurting. And unfortunately, that is how it is out in the world. We want to be a different kind of company. We want to be a company that has character, that focuses on the people more than the money. We are veterans as well, so we want to be able to hang a banner over the door that says we're veterans helping veterans. We're here to help you, and I refuse as a person to say I'm going to help you and at the same time take advantage of you. So we don't have salespeople. You're not going to call one of us and find one of us give you a good pitch. You'll find that if you come back to us and say, well, I don't want to do the program, we're not going to call you back. We're not going to chase you down. We don't have time to do it. We got a lot of veterans that do want to change their lives and are working really hard, and we spend our time helping them. And frankly, we don't want to chase people. We don't want to talk people into doing the program that don't want to do the program, because at the end of the day, you can't buy a career. There's no amount of money that you can pay that will buy you a career. So you can't come to me or any other company on the face of the planet and buy a product that's going to help you get into a good career that's going to provide for you, your family, and everything else that you need. So the best thing that I can do is I can take my years of experience, my knowledge in the market, my connections, my network, everything that I have out there, and I can make that available to you. But its worth will be measured on whether or not you take advantage of it. So I don't want people in looking for a free ride. I don't want people in that think that, hey, if I pay this and I magically get that. I don't want people saying, can you guarantee me a job? No, I can never guarantee you a job. I can coach you. I can give you all the skills. I can give you the techniques. I can do all the stuff to put you in front of people so that you have the opportunity to get a good job. But I can't get you the job. I can't do the interview for you. I can't work in your position during the day and make sure that you're a good employee and you can keep your job. I can't do any of those things. So we're here to help, and we're here to help you help yourself. So from that point of view, we don't do sales. So we do stuff like these videos. This is a big decision. You shouldn't go into this, kind of half-cocked. You shouldn't just say, oh, well, that sounds good, let me go do it. You should do your research. You should look at the things that I say and the things that every other company says, and you should make sure it's good. Unfortunately, for veterans out there today, you come out, you go down to the VA office, you say, hey, I need to get transition. They say, well, you got your GI Bill, so maybe you could use that to go get a degree. Here's a list of schools that we approve for the GI Bill. And then you trust that the VA and the government is going to provide enough oversight to guarantee that you're going to get into a good company and they're going to take care of you. But that's not reality. The government can't do that. They can try, but it doesn't work. There's companies that figure out how to work the system and get approved on the GI Bill list that are just run-of-the-mill, training companies. You're talking to the quote-unquote, counselor, which is basically just a salesperson, and they're convincing you to come into the program. They sell you a program. They build the VA because it's just a free, non-stopping funnel of money to them. They care less about where you go down the road, and they care more about having a sustained revenue stream coming in from the VA. You can't go to a university, and that university is going to say, what do you want to get your degree in? You're going to say this, but they're not going to think about whether or not that degree is actually going to give you a salary. They're not going to think about whether those are skills that companies are actually looking for and paying for. Again, your revenue stream, they're going to teach you. So you depend on the VA to get your back, and the VA is a very large organization, and it's not necessarily going to happen that way all the time. So we want it to be completely separate from that process. We want it to be our reputation based on our performance. We want to be our reputation based on the people we are, who we are, how we treat vets, and let that grow as it grows. In the end, maybe I make less money than I would if I'd have went through all the stuff and worked the back channels and figure out how to get myself, so that I can take all these different variations of the GI Bill. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, maybe I make less money, but I help more vets. And I can actually help vets that I can look at 5 years down the road, and I know I helped them, and I know I can measure my success because I see them in better jobs. I see their families doing well. I see their kids in great, sports and buying new cars for their teenagers. I see you get to enjoy the things that you should enjoy as a veteran as you get out of the military because you did a good thing. You shouldn't be punished for it. Unfortunately today, for a lot of companies, when I'm explaining our program and the situation vets are in, I oftentimes use the analogy of somebody getting out of prison. There's too many similarities there. You had your housing paid for, your food paid for, your medical paid for, your kids got free sports on base, you did all these different things. You get out of the military, and suddenly it's just like being released from prison. Here's your ID, your wallet, your old t-shirt, good luck. And out the front gate you go. You get out here, you're not prepared to get a job, you don't understand how the job market works, you don't understand how interviewing works, you don't understand all those things. You run into brick walls, and next thing you know, you've got the same kind of job, literally, that a convict can get. You're working at a grocery store, the night shift at the gas station, a security guard, whatever you may be doing, because you're not the kind of person that's going to sit there and not work, but you're kind of stuck in a dead-end job. You actually start looking at yourself and go, what the hell did I do? Why didn't I go to college? Why did I join the military? Now you start second-guessing your service. And those similarities should not exist because you are not a convict. You did not do something wrong in your life. You did something right in your life. You raised your hand, you volunteered, you fought for our country, as did I. And you should have some benefits of that when you're coming out. Now you've got to own all that because out in the regular world, in the regular corporate market, companies don't care about you. They care about what you bring to the table. So it's a very vulnerable stage for you to be taken advantage of because somebody can come talk up a certain thing and you don't know any better and you're going to buy into it. So we wanted to make sure that we did not do anything like that. So as you watch these videos, the point of the videos is to be as transparent, lay out the program, lay out the details, all that stuff. And I know as a business owner a long time now, that if I lay out all the details, I'm probably going to have some people that go through these videos, look at the website, and decide not to do my program. And that, in the CEO world, is called lost revenue. And I'm okay with it, so okay with it, I designed it that way. Because as you get through with these, if you decide this is the right program for you, then I know you've done the research, I know you've looked at it, I know you're ready to go. And if you're ready to take off, then I'm ready to take off and help you. If you go through all this stuff and you say, this is not a good fit for me, doesn't bother me at all. I'll even invite you right now, if you don't want to do our program after you go through all this, give me a call, and if I can hook you up with somebody else in a completely different industry, I will go out of my way to try to do that for you, because I do want to help. But I know this isn't for everybody. Not everybody's going to do it. So I want to make sure that the people that come in the program are people that are serious. If you come in and you're willing to work hard, you're willing to follow our program, you're willing to do what we tell you to do, then I'm going to give you the best odds in the world about being able to go out and make a great career in IT. And IT is a great career for veterans. Veterans fit very well. It's very logical, analytical thinking, problem solving, troubleshooting, all the stuff you've done in the military. It changes constantly, so you don't get bored. You're constantly learning new things. And because there's no companies on the planet that don't use IT, there's job security in it, and there's good money in it. So it's a great skill set to get into. And there is a lot of companies out there that are very eager to hire veterans. We run into it every day. And it's funny, the reason why is because there's a lot of kids that are coming out of college right now. They have this very entitled mentality. They think that mom and dad, co-signed their student loan for them, paid $60,000 for college, and by doing that, they deserve a job. And that's just simply not the way it works. My dad told me a long time ago, it's a funny thing about a job. If you go to work and you work really hard, you always get rewarded. It's called a paycheck. If you have a set of skills that a company doesn't want, then why should they pay you? If you don't do the job the way that it helps the company grow, then why should they pay you? So this is a supply and demand market. So if you gather the skills that you need that are going to be things that employers are looking for, then it's great. And one of the skills you have as a veteran coming out is that you aren't one of these whiny, entitled brats that are out in the market. They could turn around and look at you and say, hey, you know what? That was that spreadsheet you worked on for 3 months. It's really good. I don't like it. I don't like the way you did it. And you know what? You're not going to quit your job. You're not going to get red in the face. You're not going to cry and go home. You're going to say, okay, well, what do I need to do better? We actually thrive in situations as veterans where we're critiqued. That's what we've been doing for most of our career. So we just want to get it better. We don't mind going back and redoing it and working hard. We're ethical. We're not going to show up in the interview and say, well, how many months of vacation do I get? Do I get off on every weekend? Do I get to leave early? Do I get to work at home 4 days a week? You're going to show up and say, what do I got to do? I just want the opportunity to have a job. And if you'll let me prove myself, I will prove myself. And that is almost a skill set in itself, because it's so rare today in the market that is almost predominantly done by these millennial age people that have been very, very entitled. So if you take that as the character that veterans are, and then I add in some skills that are very high demand, then there's a great opportunity for you to do this, but you still got to do the work. Okay, so go through the videos, watch them, get your questions answered, follow the steps that are on the website, and then at that point you can reach out to us. If you still got 1 or 2 questions, we'll jump on the phone with you. If you just want to talk to me as the founder and the CEO, you want to hear my voice on the phone with you direct, you reach out to one of the guys and they'll set up a meeting with you and you can talk to me. I'm a roll up my sleeves kind of executive. I get involved in everything. You will hear my voice more than you ever want to hear it over the next 3 years if you do our program. Because I run the company, I teach, I develop stuff, I do stuff on the website. There's things everywhere about it, because this kind of program and this kind of company is designed around helping you guys. Then I should stay involved in every single aspect of every single detail to make sure it's always being tweaked the right way. A bit about our history. I came out in '99 out of the Air Force. I was Special Forces. Didn't really have any IT background at all. Prior to the Air Force, I grew up on a dairy farm. So getting out in '99, I had no transferable skills. The stuff that they taught me how to do, nobody wants me to do it out here. I looked around the different market. Honest to God, my career transition plan was to be a truck driver. I enjoyed being by myself. I enjoyed travel. I had a marriage that had roughly lasted through most of my military career, and I fundamentally think that it did because I was gone so much. That's now an ex-wife. Excuse me. So that was my plan. I was lucky enough that I had a grandfather that was also a veteran, 30 years, Green Beret type guy. I went to him to ask him for the $3,000 to go to truck driving school, and he told me no. He said, I have it, but I'm not going to give it to you because you could do better than that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with truck driving. You can make a lot of money truck driving. But he knew that I had potential to go do some other things, and he wanted me to be forced to struggle through that transition period to really go out there and hunt for it. And I'm so glad that he did that. My father, which was also a veteran, Navy SEAL for 4 tours in Vietnam, had just did a career transition from a restaurant executive into IT. He was teaching some classes at a school. Back at that point, Microsoft, Novell, these things were very hot skills. He talked to the owner of the company. The owner of the company said, you know what? Terry can come up and sit in the back of the class. He can use your instructor books. As long as we got a seat in the back, we're not taking a paying customer away, then he's welcome to come and do it. So I moved from Georgia to New Jersey, moved up with him. I went to these classes. I got the skills. I started a few jobs, did a little consulting, did a little stuff like this to get myself out there. I looked at the market. I looked what was hot. I tried to get into the skills that I knew were highest demand, and I worked my way up. You know, you fast forward 10 years. From there, I was a vice president for a Fortune 50 company running one of the largest IT departments in the world, building some of the largest data centers, running through some of the most amount of money in trading and financial stuff in the world. That catapulted me up to a certain amount of success, a lot of connections with executives in Cisco and things of that nature, longtime friends with these guys as the largest IT company in the world. That allowed me to turn around and launch a couple businesses. So I've run a couple businesses as CEO, as a managing director and partner. I've run some as my own. Been involved in the training business for a long time. Trained probably 10,000 engineers over the last almost 20 years. I've written a lot of the certification courses that are in the market today myself personally. I've written hundreds of courses inside Cisco that are specifically there to train Cisco how to do Cisco. I've been probably in every single Cisco office around the world, traveled a couple years, 250,000 miles a year on an airplane. Just going out and teaching engineers, teaching salespeople how to launch a new product that Cisco was coming out with. So I've been heavily involved in IT. It's just kept growing me. About 4 years ago, I started ETAC as a company, strictly to go in and do some internal stuff with Cisco. About 2 years ago, I got into a joint venture with another training company. Was put a lot of money on the table to invest and was going to do a merger with them. That was going well. It was going good. About a year ago, I started having veterans come to us asking us for some cutting edge wireless and data center and security stuff, cloud stuff. And I was really impressed because most of the time veterans are just going after the low end A+ and Microsoft or Cisco CCNA route and switch and some of these things that these other companies sell them and peddle to them. So seeing veterans that actually went out and learned to market enough to know that those skills are not worth anything, but things like wireless and data center and cloud and security and stuff like this is the right skills. I was actually very excited to see there was a decent amount of veterans that were starting to come to me asking for that. However, at the same time, I was kind of disappointed because that training market is based on a business-to-business market. So my customers, for the most part, were other companies. And those companies would pay me for a 5-day class in, some Cisco or security or whatever it was. 5 days, about $5,000 to send one of their employee engineers. Don't have to make sure that engineer learned anything, but they were basically paying $5,000 to be in my presence. They show up Monday to Friday, that's the class. If Wednesday they decide they can't come to class because they got a meeting, I'm not giving them money back. I don't care if they learned anything. If they sleep through the class, it only bothers me if they're snoring and it interrupts everybody else. Otherwise, you're there to get whatever you can get from me, and then you go away at the end of the week. And I'm not trying to make that sound bad, but the idea of it is the corporations, that's the environment they want because they don't want their engineers out of the office more than a week at a time. So when veterans are coming in, even if I cut the price down from $5,000 to $2,500, I cut it in half and give them a great veteran deal, it's still too expensive for most of you that are transitioning. If I turn around and put you in a 5-day class and I push you through very quickly, there's no way you're going to do anything but get confused. You're not going to learn anything in that quick amount of time. Most senior engineers have a struggle in that time frame. So I just knew the model wouldn't work. I started exploring the market. Made a lot of conversations with the Department of Labor, Department of Veteran Affairs. I literally have talked to several standing congressmen, the secretaries of labor in the VA. I've even had conversations with the president's office about why is there not a better program out there that veterans can do outside of just coming out and trying to live off their GI Bill to go get a degree, that 3 years later they finish their degree or they go pay for one of these low-end programs like these IT programs I'm talking about, and they spend the money, but they have no better prospects of getting a job than if they hadn't spent the money. Over that process, over the year, we continue to talk to the Department of Labor and the VA about taking a program like ours and pulling it in some of their models, so that veterans can use their GI Bill for it. Some of that stuff looks pretty good that it may end up happening, but I'll tell you, I'm not in the business of trying to get into the GI Bill. If I can set out the program, and that's what I did as a business, to go out and get the program where there's a very small fee that you pay up front, because we got to do a lot of work with you to help you actually get a job. Once you're in the job, the rest of the 36-month program, the real program, is paid for by the employer. So we set the price on it. We set all kinds of our models so that we could go to the employers, and the employers actually want to pay for it because it's a good investment. And in that way, you don't need the GI Bill. And I would much rather you look, 10 years down the road. If I can kickstart you in a career with 3 years of good experience, good skills, and you start making a decent salary, at the end of that 3 years, you work for the next 3 years, and you get to the 6-year mark. Now you're a senior engineer. You're making good money. You're established in your career. Now you need to start thinking about whether you want to go in management. And the trigger to get you in management may be having a degree. Not an IT degree. It may be a business degree. Now that the GI Bill is a forever GI Bill, it doesn't run out. Why not save it so that you can actually get a business degree, 6-7 years from now, and now the degree actually helps catapult you. Getting it today probably won't get you in a job, because there's 14 million people out there with degrees that are unemployed or working in jobs that don't require a degree. Like 40% of the college grads out there are underemployed or unemployed. So the degree itself is not going to get you. The certifications and the skills, these are real things companies need. They're going to pay for it. So that'll start your career. But now to move you from an engineer to manager, they need to know you have some sort of business sense. So suddenly then the degree makes sense. So why not save it till then? If I could create a program that you don't need to use your GI Bill for at all, one, I'm not preying on you. Two, why not give you the best possible career path over the next 10 to 20 years? So that's the mentalities that we took. During that joint venture, both of my sons here on the screen, Zach and Jake, were in the Navy as well. They separated. They both approached me to work with me. I told them I'd be glad to give them an opportunity as vets and as my sons, but just because Daddy owns the company doesn't mean you get a job. So they both started 6-month no-pay internships. They both have families and kids. They both had to struggle just like you're doing, and they had to work with no salary for 6 months. And I did that for a reason. If you earn your way into life and into a business, the rest of the employees say, we need to hire these two. They're bang up. They're great guys. Then let's talk about a salary then. They both did. We pulled them on. And then about October last year, at this point, I've talked to a couple hundred veterans. I literally talked to everybody that comes in the program. I'm hearing their stories. And I looked at my two sons then, and I said, guys, there's a problem out here. The vets are coming out. We started looking at some statistics. Out of the number of veteran suicides that are in a year, we looked at worldwide statistics as well, and about 20% of the suicides that happen in a year are contributed directly to unemployment and the stress and the pressure and how low you feel when you can't support your family and things like that. And I said, you know what, we can fix this problem. I can't fix PTSD. I can't fix, losing a limb. I can't fix these things, but I can fix a veteran being unemployed. But if I'm going to do this, this can't just be some other business line that we have. This has to be all I do. I need to put all my attention on this. So we talked about it for a little while. Roger, the fourth person, is my father-in-law. He's come in as an executive advisor, is a long-time retired Navy captain, also senior pilot at Continental. So he's been in the business world for a long time. I started pulling together a team like this so that we could put together a company that veterans could trust, that was family-owned, that was also 100% veteran-owned. We pulled that together, and then early November we made a decision. I literally left the money that I invested in the joint venture on the table. I parted with them peacefully, and we took ETAC back out in the company and just give it a sole purpose. We restructured it. We do one thing and one thing only now. We're a veteran-owned company that's out to help veterans, specifically get in IT careers. It's all we do. So because I'm now focusing all my attention on it, it means that I can look at every single little detail and make it work. We structured the company as a for-profit. Now, in a normal world, for-profit means that I get to take all the money I make, I get to take all the profit, and I get to put that in my pocket. That's not necessarily a bad thing. One, over time you'll see the prices that are in the market versus the prices we do. I gave up the right to make a lot of profit. I am going to make some profit off the program because I want to grow the program. I want to make sure that we have things in place to be able to support you guys, to find you guys, to go out and get as many veterans that we can help as we can. So we do build it as a profit model. But one of the main reasons we kept it that way is there's a lot of security that you guys, as you're reviewing the videos and looking at the program, seeing if it fits for you, how do you trust us? It's really simple, guys. If I don't make this program work, I don't make it successful, then I'm unemployed too. I lose my house, I lose my car, I lose my business, my sons, their families, my grandchildren. We all lose money out of this, so it's very personal to me that there's no way I'm letting it fail. And that should give you more of assurance than hoping that the VA has got your back, that the company's not going to screw you. As much as the VA's done, we see major corporations like ITT Tech, billion-dollar corporations that literally screw hundreds of thousands of veterans out of their benefits because they go out of business overnight. Story after story I hear of veterans that were enrolled in their programs, they show up to go to class and the doors are locked, so we're out of business. They get no credit for the degree, they get no credit for the class, and they get no money back. You got companies like this all over, so the VA can't protect your back. But how do I guarantee the door's going to be open? Because if I'm not making this successful, then it's not going to work. So I have to constantly look at it like a regular business to make sure it runs. Now, having said that, we do operate in a lot of ways like a nonprofit because we're out here basically with a cause. We're trying to help you. We're not just trying to make money off of you. You're not customers. You're going to be part of our family. We're going to get to know you. I stay up in the middle of the night working on this because I know I got veterans in the program that need to get jobs and I don't have time to sit and wait. I got to help them. By doing that, we partnered with a couple different nonprofits, and I did something that most business people in my mind and my peers would look at me and say, you're crazy. As a for-profit company, I don't have to have any oversight. It's all my call, all my control. But what I did is I invited a nonprofit to come in. They got a board, 10 people, executives, very connected, retired generals, people connected into Congress, all over places like this, people that if they wanted to hurt me, they could hurt me. And I invited them in to put oversight into the company so that that if I'm not doing this the right way, then my business structure fails. But at the same time, if I'm not living up to my word, then you got a completely independent third-party board over here that can turn around and cause me a lot of trouble to hold me to the fire. So we've done some things like that to really do that. If you want to look at that, you can go on the donor page, the donor portal of the website. You can see some of that board, how that's set up. I got 6 out of the 10 people that are on there. You can read their profiles a little bit and kind of see that that's a little structure of what we do. For the most part, you'll talk to me, Zach, and Jake on a regular basis. We all get involved in this all the time. This is not the only people in the company. We have several organizations that we partner with certain things. We have a lot of people in the behind the scenes. But as far as making decisions of where the company goes, how we treat you guys, what we're going to do for you, it's these 4 people and these 4 people alone. You probably won't spend a whole lot of time talking to Roger. Roger kind of works in the background, shadows, advises, does things like this. We do that for a reason, so we kind of got an internal third-party perspective always looking at this. He talks to a lot of the companies that are out there, a lot of the partners that we're talking to, things like that to make sure that we've got a good oversight on what we're doing. So you'll talk to all 3 of us on a regular basis. As you're coming through, that's kind of the story of the company and who we are and why we do this. What I want you guys to do as you review the rest of the videos is I want you to be in an evaluation mode. Look and listen. Think about it. Go research. Go look at the stuff that we put out there. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to simply evaluate it. If it makes sense to you, you go through the steps, follow the steps on the website. You'll get connected with us, and then it's a pretty easy process. We don't make this very difficult. Okay, so go through the rest of the videos. Take your time with it. If you want to spread it out over a couple of days, you want to watch them back to back. Hopefully I'm not too boring. The information is good, and then if you got questions, just reach out. All right, so at this point, you can just move on to the next video.